Why we ready? Ashwin Parekh is joining me on the phone line. Like I said, somebody who's been tracking these perhaps more closely than anybody else. Mr. Parekh, thank you so much for coming on air. But it's a big moment, sir. It's a wide open field now. Corporates, real estate linked corporates, capital market linked businesses, anybody can go in and line up outside the RBI, technically speaking.
Absolutely. Ira, I mean, this is very interesting. Perhaps, I mean, for the first time, I mean, last 3 or 4 decades, we are going to see, very open guidelines, very broad invitation in some form. What am I reading out of it, Ira? I mean, I'm now, there is some clarity that is emerging, and that is those who have 2 things. One is, large capital, deep pockets on one side, and B, who have genuinely prepared to go to these smaller markets, do the inclusion, and with low cost model on one side or some other method or the other, really turn around and make this kind of a banking unit a viable one. So to that extent, I must say, that the canvas is now wide open. I mean, the regulator said anybody who can really convince me that he's capable of doing these things, should be there in the industry, in the sector. So, I mean, to that extent, I should say it's an interesting one. From the stability point of view, it will give the regulator, perhaps in the sector and those new aspirants, far more responsibility, far more amount of disclosure, and a very high order of governance, because at stake is the deposit holders' money, Ira.
Absolutely, Mr. Parekh, which is why it's a little worrying that there's been no classification of some of these volatile businesses. Mr. Parekh, I don't know if you've seen this particular quote in that eligibility details, and I'm going to put that quote up on air, that promoter groups business model and business culture should not be misaligned with the banking model, and their business should not potentially put the bank and the banking system at risk on account of group activities such as those which are speculative in nature or subject to high asset price volatility. Should I read between the lines, to say that, in effect, real estate, broking, etc. would, then be kept out?
Well, you see, basically, what is the issue on hand? The issue on hand is that, let's say, if the promoter has an order of surplus available, for instance, to set aside for the banking venture, and then subsequently, on account of the volatility in the price of those assets, he has a stronger presence. I mean, other than banking I'm talking about. If the values come down, if, let's say, he loses out substantial value on account of such volatility in the market, then to that extent, he brings that risk to the bank. So what has happened in the process now is, Ira, that RBI will perhaps have to take upon itself, and this is going to be a real challenging task for the regulator, to examine each and every application, not just from the point of view of its business plan, but also from the point of view of the promoter's business, each and every small aspect of his business. The extent to which all the presence in different activities can, I mean, any or all or small or large, but if it can bring any kind of risk on account of volatility in value, then to that extent the regulator would certainly and needs to be certainly concerned about. So instead of putting it out, the way it has been kept is, the larger issue is the risk. The larger issue is not the color of the promoter, nor is any particular qualifying part specified in the guidelines. But at the same time, the underlying principle with which the applications will be examined has been very subtle but very well articulated, I should say.
Is there anything else that you're running out of breath, and we hope to have a longer discussion later, but anything else that you want to point out? I think that 25% unbanked branches, some unfairness in the fact that, there is 2 or 3 areas where they're not at par with the existing private banks. So whether it's in terms of the foreign shareholding, whether it's on this criteria that 25% of branches have to be in unbanked rural areas, or that fact that, the promoter holding or the holding company has to bring down their share to 15% over 12 years. Those are like discrepancies, right, between existing and new players?
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't exactly term them as discrepancies. See, basically the aspirants going to go in for the new licenses will have to at least keep in mind the fact that we're talking about a new kind of banking altogether. We're talking about something which hasn't happened. Unfortunately, our existing banking structure or our existing banking companies have not gone into these markets in the past. They've kept a lot of working population in Indian population out of the banking system. And to that extent, if that was, and that is core objective between the government and the regulator, then in that case, the guidelines had to follow that objective, to consistently look at that objective. And that seems to have come through. On the foreign investors as well, one would have expected perhaps a little more liberal approach, anticipating that foreign capital can bring in more risk capital can come in through that route. And some amount of know-how, if it is a strategic partnership route, can also come in through that. But at the same time, the guidelines clarify that after 5 years, these banks will also be at par with the current banking system. So to that extent, the comfort is that if they establish themselves with the foreign investors and the local investors, that they have a performing model and a performing bank, then they will certainly be able to open up the investment doors to that extent.
All right, Mr. Parekh, I'll let you go for now. I know your phone's been ringing off the hook, but thank you so much indeed for taking our call. Hope to have a longer discussion once we've all read through the fine print as well. We're going into a very quick break. We're coming